All right, so I'm going to do this as a, all right, I had a phone call. Well, I made a phone call on my video from the Chase branch, the local branch, BRANCH of the BANK of the bank in Little Neck, LITTLENECK. When I went there on, I think it was Tuesday, maybe it was I think it was Tuesday. We'll go with Tuesday for the moment because I don't keep a schedule. But I did make a video, which is why I do things right after the fact, so this way they don't go whatever. So I went there about the IRA to fill out the form to make sure that it got to the bank because I need the check for the cash that's sitting in the IRA. So I went Tuesday. He said he was going to send it right over. I did not call. I was having trouble with my phone yesterday. It wouldn't make phone calls. So I had to literally my manufactured phone from LG, just like standard street. You walk into a T-Mobile, ask for a new phone. They say, which one? I'm like, that one has a pen and writes. Great. I'll take that one. And whatever one's on sale, since I'm on like a low budget here. So the LG phone, right, made in China, but Korea has some open source license with whom I don't know. I mean, this is all fucking illegal shit as far as I'm concerned, based on what's going on. And not one of any of the children of Earth are supposed to have direct access to anything that pertains to my personal information, being that they're not allowed to chase up the tree from where they sit in importance, but the top is allowed to chase down. It's the way it works. I don't understand why anybody would give Korea and China like a joint account to fuck with my real life and then have some whatever. So anyway, so here we go. And I called at like, I don't know, I think it was 4:13 on this really fun letter. Right, remember this letter where it says it's like the CIA at the end of the letter, right? I mentioned that. I mean, it says at the bottom that it's Chase Insurance Agency, CIA, which I thought was like, wow, that's branding and marketing problems for a crossroad whatever. The bottom of it is an LC-CRS620 as an identifier for whoever chases these things. And it also has the 5-digit zip code being incorrect. It's correct at the bottom, but it says new auto, and then it says **, S as in Sam, C as in Kataruza, H as in Hitler, 5-DIGIT, and then it's 11360. That's not the correct anything. Especially being that it's my Romer last name, ROEMER, on the IRA. So anyway, so I call the number, which is 1-844-399-4337, and I get some facially disfigured Asian woman who is answering the phones, and I have to give her my social now because there's no account number in the letter. So I give her my social so she could look up the account. Then she's got to put me on hold because God only knows what they do in foreign espionage and hiding from the authorities. And then she comes back on and says that she checked 3 systems, and 3 systems don't have my paperwork that I went to the local branch and I put in. Now, here's the thing. In year 2020, I call the number on my U.S. letter for my U.S., meaning America, bank relationship. I expect, even though they're an international company, I expect that I am not transferred to a foreign national who is a major security concern and breach. My domestic phone call needs to stay in domestic territory and not with like, well, we have a Korean firm in America with all of our favorite cousins that we don't, you understand what I'm saying? Wrong. Get your piece of shit cousins out of my lands and back to where they belong in Korea. And you could go do customer service over there. Or China, whichever. I don't really care on the facially disfigured. You have a whole Polynesian problem. So here we are I expect in America that I get an American. Preferably like either somebody with Brendan Burns appearance or my own at this point. Again, if it's someone like George Lopez, I will take that as well. But the facially disfigured needs to go. They're like the newest problem, and we didn't ask for any more shitbags. We really didn't. We were up to our eyeballs in how are we going to fix this, and I don't need new problems entering the arena of just keep adding them on, and they won't be able to handle them all, and they'll all just collapse from the inside of America. Yeah, I've noticed that that's what you wanted to do. It's bloody obvious. So anyway... So she couldn't help me. I said, do me a favor. I said, you understand, right? I was like, you say you work for J.P.Morgan Chase or J.P.Morgan, right? I know that there's like an investment arm of the business. Then there's like the auto loan, right? Then there's like mortgages, right? And then there's like assets and like wealth management. And then there's like the insurance. And then there's like the securities, meaning like stocks and bonds securities, right? Okay, so that's how like the branches, so they explained to me, because when I worked for JP Morgan Chase at a branch making $38,000 in a local 9 to 6 job 5 days a week, barely getting to pay my bills and see my kids. And I went to Cape May, New Jersey. I met a very tall Asian who said he was working the international desk of securities and markets, and he was making 7 figures. Right. Doing like, I don't know, like whatever hedge fund things do. But I don't understand why he's in America making like millions and I'm only getting 38,000 as the people who had grandparents with a zip code in Illuminati territory. Like that comes number 1 in Kingdom. So that right there, major problem. So then I get this woman on the phone. So I say to her, I was like, I just want to make, cause she has this, Asian accent, like you can't miss the Asian act. You can't. So I say to her, I'm like, okay, so, you checking 3 systems. I just want to make sure that I get my part right. What 3 systems is it that you're checking? I called on 1 investment account about 1 set, or actually 2 sets of documents, but it would be the same system, I would assume, that it would have traveled in on. So that's 1 system. So what are you checking on 3? She's like, well, there's the system that shows the current documents, and then there's another one that shows archive documents, and then there's another one that shows something else. And I'm like, whatever word she used. And I'm like, right. Okay, so there's your 3 systems. I was like, so now what are you telling me I need? So you're saying that you didn't get the documents? I was like, because I went to a local branch and he sent the documents directly over to the internal Chase system. So you're saying you didn't get documents. I just want to make sure I got that correct. You're not seeing them anywhere on any of your 3 systems. For an internal, I was like, does this happen a lot? I'm just curious. And she's like, no, actually it doesn't. I go, yeah, it's really amazing on this new communist system. I was like, that my documents just disappear. Because I used to work for Chase. I did not have customer service issues at this length, ever. So I just find it odd in your new communist banking regime that this is the new customer service that they're giving to their clients. And then I said to her, I was like, now, I'm going to, I was like, and you do know that this phone call, right, just, I was like, do you have standard ID or whatever? She's like, I'm not giving that out. That's my personal information. I go, actually, first of all, let me just say, I was like, you know that you're federally regulated, right? I was like, on banking ends, there's always national security measures in place to make sure that your phone calls are recorded and transcribed, like checked on. Right? I was like, being that international banking and regulations is like a really big topic and concern for my national security and others. And she's just like, okay. And she's like, I said, so Chase Bank in America, where I worked in a local branch, they give out a employee ID number, a standard ID, they call it, STANDARD. The reason why they give you that number is so you don't have to use your personal name or social security number if you feel uncomfortable. But should a customer feel uncomfortable and need to follow up or document that they spoke directly with you for their own personal security and safety, they need some kind of identifying marker. So I'm asking you one more time, what is your standard ID? And the Asian woman's like, I'm not comfortable giving that out. And I was like, I get that you're not, but that's against the law. Do you realize that? There's a reason why Chase gives you a standard ID. It's so I am protected in my national security of now there's international banking and it's a problem and a concern of mine. I was like, so, and she's like, well, I'll give you to my manager. I was like, I don't want your manager. I want to know what your standard ID is. And she wouldn't give it to me. So I'm like, I am just letting you know, full disclosure, that I am going to make a video of myself having this exact recap conversation for my national security advisor to document that I don't know who you are. I don't know you really work for Chase, and the fact that you wouldn't give me your standard ID is against regulation and is against my personal security rights. And I don't know how to overcome this since there's so many problems with the misrouting of phone calls and compromised international banking. So I'm just letting you know that I'm going to make a very public announcement from my person on record, and it's going to go into whatever. Because you won't give me a standard ID number that the bank was required to issue you if you were a legal standard employee under the U.S. Customs and Regulations and U.S. Charter to be able to operate in the Americas. And she was just like, I'm going to give you to my manager now. And I'm just like, don't bother. I'm taking a photocopy of when we ended this call. So I have the time, the exact phone number, and exactly how long my conversation with you was. So there's no misinterpretation of my intent and what I'm doing and what I'm up to and how my government can get a copy of it to check on your government. And she was just like, and then all of a sudden, like, it started ringing, and I just took a photo, and I hung up. So I'm going to put that up on social media, I guess, Facebook and Instagram-y. So that's that. And then I called the local branch. His Asian uselessness was just as useless as the woman foreign that was not an American. But then there was a third guy who actually was very nice. He called back, and I had a lengthy conversation with him, totally different than the original two. And for him, he actually suggested that next time I ask for a U.S. base representative. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a public consumer and a private citizen of the United States of America, that I even needed to go that far to protect myself, considering that someone somewhere might want to find some information and sell it on me, considering the whole Tsar and Czarina and princess aspect of my life and my name, which opens up another can of worms of why on earth is the United States banking and charter of a U.S. Steel self-made billionaire or millionaire at the time who was under strict banking regulations then and charter regulations to never go internationally and get involved in foreign investments that go against his own his genetic family. There are specific, when his charter and his corporation under Morgan, right, when that organ was opened, it was never, ever to be mixed with foreign business or foreign pleasure outside of the Illuminati standard look and standard uniform. So why is it that J.P.Morgan Chase now has so many foreign espionage spies as employees, and they just give them access to anything international, foreign or domestic? You could just look it up on the computer, and you can get all of the information, and you can sell it for big bucks to anybody who will pay for. So I'm just curious, how do you protect yourself as a consumer? And what's J.P.Morgan Chase doing to protect itself and discontinue its unauthorized international espionage ring that it's got going on with the facially problematic elsewhere? That it's not allowed to sell shares to, it's not allowed to share information with, and it's definitely not allowed to purposely route business to there to then bounce it back to the U.S. for some economic development, even bigger problem with customs and so on and so forth. So how are you untangling this American mess that you all have made while you let me dangle in the wind and pretend that I don't exist and pretend that I didn't document this before? How are you all digging yourselves out of that grave? I'm curious. I just saw that there's some guy who is got picked up for, they call it paedophilia, Paedophiles, which is exactly what I'm talking about under the Catholic Church. I've made certain files there, and then there were certain documentations made with the referendum church of the protesters of the rest of the kings that are problems, or could be potential problems, being that it's a very large organ and not everybody is as thorough as I am to document all of these cases in an exact manner that is not biased whatsoever. It is matter of fact. This is a problem. This is a problem. This is why it's a problem. Don't let this happen. You have no excuse for why you allowed this to happen. Those are the people that need to be rounded up and killed immediately.